much is that saddle in a street shooting on which way to saddle?
The most important thing we can be doing is preparing that generation. They're the best problem solvers we have.
FIRST is about much more than just robots.
Live from Manchester, New Hampshire.
It's Saturday morning.
Hi, I'm Paul from Team 865 in Toronto, and I'm 18. Ever since I started high school, I've been participating in FIRST robotics competitions through my school's robotics team, Warp 7. I am honored to introduce FIRST Chairman John Abel.
Greetings.
And thank you, Paul from Toronto. Welcome, once again, to the 2009 FIRST Kickoff. You'll be seeing other 18-year-olds from FIRST teams throughout the show. I know that one of you out there on a team or a group of you will be the ones who solve and celebrate the next great breakthrough of our times. People everywhere know about the hard work each of you do as part of this program and the impact of FIRST. It now gives me great pleasure to introduce Congressman Paul Hodes from New Hampshire.
Thank you. Well, thank you all. I'm very excited to be here with you today, not only here in New Hampshire, the home of FIRST, something we're very proud of, but for all those around the world who are watching. The growth of FIRST has been just phenomenal and well-deserved. So to all the students, parents, mentors, sponsors, and friends who participate, this is an exciting time. Around the world, we face enormous challenges. There's an economic contraction that presents us not only with enormous challenges, but great opportunities. Our educational system here in the United States could use some help, and I believe that the FIRST program ought to be an integral part in remaking our educational system for the 21st century so that we remain competitive and strong, and that we build the math and science programs and the engineers of tomorrow who are going to remake this entire world for the 21st century so that we can have the kind of country and the kind of world that we all want to live in. Thank you, FIRST. Thank you, all of you who participate. What a great 6 weeks you're going to have. Go get them.
Thank you, Congressman Hodes. As chairman of the FIRST Board of Directors, I can tell you that who you work for and fund this program, we all have exceedingly high expectations for each and every one of you. You will be the ones who are going to work very, very hard together to tackle the challenges facing all of us and the future. So, no pressure, but we are literally banking on you. Thank you to all of our sponsors and suppliers, without whom none of this would be possible. One of FIRST's major sponsors, NASA, makes this broadcast and webcast possible, and we are very, very grateful to that. This is a special year, of course, to have NASA's involvement, since this is the 40th anniversary, as you saw in the opening video, of that amazing first expedition to land on the moon. My memory, Neil Armstrong, by the way, the guy who put that first step on the moon, was a bioengineer, and I was very impressed with that guy. Remember that one small step for man, one great leap for mankind. Really powerful words, and you now have to make some great leaps going forward. Well, we will have 58 local kickoff remote sites this morning. We have 321 rookie teams, 1,369 veteran teams participating in this year's robotics competition. This year, we have added 2 new regionals, bringing the total number to 40, plus 7 new district competitions, and 1 state championship in Michigan, and the first championship, of course, in Atlanta. There is continued interest outside the United States as well, including 64 teams in Canada, 49 in Israel, 6 in Brazil, 4 teams in Great Britain, 2 teams in Mexico, some are here tonight, 1 team in Chile, Germany, the Netherlands, Turkey, and the Philippines. We welcome all of you. Thank you also to the team leaders, volunteers, and board members attending events around the country. The first robotics competition, as you've all heard many times, is not just about machines. It's about people, obviously. It's about community. It's about teamwork. It's about finding and using each individual's unique talent to make the project team greater than any one person could do. It's about learning skills that will lead to success in whatever you do in life. FRC would not be here today were it not for its core values. There's a joy and a passion that is known to many volunteers, all 100,000 of you, who show up to do the difficult work that makes this vibrant, productive community alive. And so it is fitting that FRC's highest award is not about machines, it's about people. The ultimate first prize, the Chairman's Award, goes to the team that best exemplifies leadership, involvement, inclusion, and entrepreneurial solutions to community needs. In fact, teams that have won the Chairman's Award are our role models for transforming the culture into one that honors science and technology. This year, there are 17 teams that have earned the right to be inducted into the FRC Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame teams remain active in our cause and serve as examples for the rest of us to follow. Hollywood producer Paul Lazarus has been working with teams for the past few years, helping them capture their activities and editing the footage to make a wonderful record of the team's accomplishments. Last year's winner, Team 842, AARP West Valley Amateur Radio Club and Carl Hayden High School from Phoenix, Arizona, is busy making their video, which we look forward to seeing at the championship in Atlanta this year. In a minute, we are going to watch the video from the 2007 winner, Mo Robotics. But before we do, we have an important update to the Chairman's Award submission requirements for you to know about. Because FRC is about technology and innovation, and because you are the future, going forward, we are asking teams competing for the Regional Chairman's Awards to provide the judges with brief video footage of your activities. Detailed information can be found in the manual and on the website. Now let's take a look at the Chairman's Award winner in 2007, Team 365, Mo Robotics Group from Wilmington, Delaware. Here is their story.
Lord, I need a miracle.
It's great.
It's a miracle.
Our 2007 Chairman's Award winner is Team 365, the Miracle Workers. DuPont Engineering, DuPont, CCL Reeves, First State Robotics, and MOE Robotics Group. Congratulations.
365 days a year, Mo works miracles when it comes to building and sustaining a team. With its amazing engineers, parents, and longtime sponsor, DuPont.
We're open to students from any high school. Our only requirements, dedication, and enthusiasm.
Another miracle of Mo is that we have 60 students and adults coming from 16 separate high schools in the Wilmington, Philadelphia area.
DuPont is the best. They've been behind us for 9 years. It's where we get our name. They create miracles of science, and we create miracles of engineering.
DuPont rocks!
DuPont gives us a wonderful site at Barley Mill Plaza to work on our robot. They also give us fantastic engineers to be our mentors. They let us use their playing field, their machine shop, and their tools.
All of us at DuPont are proud of the Miracle Workers. We believe in going green. Go Mo!
Even though we come from a whole lot of different schools, we do many other things besides building the robot. We have picnics, go on ski trips, there's even Mo Rock Band.
We love games of all kinds. We work hard and we play hard. Mo believes in the miracle of big-time fun.
How else can I keep my reputation as a miracle worker?
You practically have to be a miracle worker to win the Chairman's Award at FRC. Congratulations and cheers to Mo.
Mo is all about sportsmanship, gracious professionalism, and most of all, the big green is about helping others. Mo Team Spirit is unstoppable. Mo Green is for Go Mo Go.
Every year we co-sponsor the Duel on the Delaware with our sister team, the Lunatics. It's a big off-season scrimmage with 20 to 30 teams participating.
At every competition, we give out personal recognition buttons to encourage other teams to maintain their good work.
And T365 doesn't just help with robotics. Flow with Mo is our annual blood drive.
Go Mo!
Success Won't Wait provides books for underprivileged children. In 4 years, we've collected over 10,000 pounds of books.
Ask for miracles, dear. I give you.
In our community, across the state, internationally, Mo is out there spreading the word. As this year's Chairman's Award winners, we were invited to the White House. We met with President Bush and showed him what FIRST Robotics is all about.
Governor Ruth Ann Minner, the Delaware Senate, and House of Representatives all got the miracle treatment.
Miracles! We take our robot to libraries and schools and do read-aloud events to get kids interested in science and technology. It's called the More Literacy Program. That's Mo with an extra R for reading.
The stories are about science and FIRST with titles like We Build Robots. So far, 2,500 coloring books have been distributed.
Mo has great engineers. I really am lime green with envy.
Chairman's Award winners share what they know.
Momentum is our online database full of information aimed at helping rookie teams survive the build season. Teams all over the world have used our helpful tips and tricks on our award-winning website.
We started the Delaware First State LEGO League event. It's one of the largest single-day FIRST events worldwide.
Many FRC rookie teams and dozens of FIRST LEGO League teams have been started and helped by the Miracle Workers.
Every year, the team attends Mo University. It's a series of weekly workshops that teach robotics concepts before the build season begins. This year, students split up into groups to build catapults that launch water balloons.
The most satisfying aspect of being a mentor for a FIRST team is watching that student come in the first day and then having them return something like 8 years later and seeing that they're now an engineer and we had some impact in helping them get that goal.
Mo's experience with FIRST and winning the Chairman's Award has been amazing. And it's not just Mo who are miracle workers. Every single day on every FIRST team, miracles happen one student at a time.
Team 365, go first!
I'm Bruce Nolan for Eyewitness News with all the folks down here at the blood drive reminding you to... You heard him.
From Team 1515 in Beverly Hills, California, and I'm 18. I'm a builder and I want to be an architect. And I'm pleased to introduce to you President of FIRST, Paul Godonis.
Well, thank you, John, and thank you, Colleen, for that introduction. Are you ready for the 2009 FIRST Robotics Competition? It was just a few nights ago when we all rang in the new year, and there's an event this year that I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge. In 2009, we celebrate the 40th anniversary of the Apollo 11 mission. In July 1969, the U.S. landed a man on the moon and returned him safely to Earth. It was a remarkable feat of technology and engineering that inspired the world. And for all of us at FIRST, remembering Apollo 11 means remembering why we're working for more of that type of inspiration. But Apollo 11 also has another important reminder for FIRST. On the screen is the official mission patch worn by the Apollo 11 astronauts. Now there's a detail worth noting about this patch. I know this because back in the 1960s we were all so taken about this new inspiration and vision for the future, I used to collect astronaut trading cards from the back of cereal boxes. Well, on early Apollo missions, it was customary to put the astronauts' names on the patch. There are no names here. The crew decided not to put their names on the patch because they wanted to acknowledge all of the people who would be responsible for accomplishing this mission. Well, that's the type of thinking that is central to FIRST. There's so many people responsible for accomplishing our mission. So I'd just like to take a moment to thank the students, the parents, the mentors, teachers, the sponsors, volunteers, the colleges, the staff at FIRST, board members, friends, family, more. You know, all of you are responsible for making it another record year for FIRST. Over 190,000 students from grades K through 12 will be in a FIRST program this year. So thank you for all that you do. Now this year, as John mentioned, we're pleased to add 2 new regional competitions. FRC is coming to Dallas, Texas, and Washington, D.C. Well, good morning, Dallas.
Welcome to Dallas!
What a great Texas welcome. And good morning to Washington, D.C. All right, everyone, let's have a big welcome to Washington, D.C. Well, and we're also piloting a new district tournament model in Michigan with 7 district events leading to a state championship. And of course, in this economy, we're working on other ways to manage costs while maintaining the excitement that you really expect from an FRC event. Now, for grade school students, the First LEGO League continues to generate amazing participation. Over 1,000 junior First LEGO League teams and over 13,000 FLL teams from 42 countries have been learning to take better care of our planet as part of the Climate Connections Challenge this season. And the First Tech Challenge continues to grow with 25% more teams this year. And I want to thank all the FRC teams who mentor First Tech Challenge teams and their sponsors, and also the 39 affiliate partners who make that program happen. Well, as you can see, all of our FIRST programs are thriving, and one of the key reasons why is the support we receive from our sponsors. We're really excited to have NASA, Booz Allen Hamilton, and Worcester Polytech, WPI, as sponsors of this morning's kickoff, along with software company PTC. And we're delighted to have Jim Heppelman from PTC here to say a brief hello. Jim?
Well, thanks, Paul. What an exciting day. PTC is so excited to be part of the FIRST ecosystem. For many years, we at PTC have been committed to STEM learning initiatives as a way to, as the most effective way to prepare the next generation of workers, that's all of you, to be successful in important and productive careers. Well, a few years ago, when we were introduced to FIRST, we could see right away that this would be the best and most direct way to accomplish that objective. What each and every one of you is going to learn in the next 6 to 8 weeks could take years in a traditional classroom environment. We've seen that the FIRST experience leaves an indelible impression on everybody that's involved, the students, the coaches, the mentors, the volunteers, and even us sponsors. We've seen the enthusiasm of the teams is contagious, and the way that the students work together to pool their resources and their skills to help each team compete is inspiring. If you multiply that now across the 100,000 students who participate each year in all of the FIRST programs, you can see why PTC is so bullish about FIRST and what it represents for our collective future. That's why we're involved. In fact, even in this difficult economy, PTC has tripled our commitment to FIRST in the past year. We know that the ability to capture ideas digitally or electronically and to collaborate and share them across teams and other boundaries is a critical skill, not only to compete in FIRST, but to be part of any real-world product development organization. So it's more important now than ever that we work to make sure that you have all the skills that you need to succeed in life, and PTC is committed to being part of this important solution. So through our partnership with FIRST, we're doing our part to help you prepare to be the engineers of the future, to deliver high value to your future employers. So we believe in FIRST, and we believe in you. We're very excited to be part of the program, and we look forward to seeing you all throughout this year's competition and wish you the best of luck. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Jim. Well, FIRST sponsors continue to provide our students with access to the latest technology and tools. For example, the new FRC control system includes some cutting-edge technology and is made possible by the collaboration of National Instruments, BAE Systems, and WPI, and you'll soon see how to use it in this year's game. Well, in addition to the new control system, we've got something else new for you to try this year. Thanks to the volunteers at Lockheed Martin and WPI, we are introducing a new FIRST Robotics Competition simulation. Not only will you be able to use it to test strategies on how to play the game, some of the regionals will have a pilot site where you can actually compete in this virtual tournament. So be on the lookout for an email in a couple of weeks about how you can download the simulation and try it yourself. Now, one of the things that is important to us at FIRST is that FIRST doesn't end with high school. The scholarship opportunities that are available to FIRST team members to continue your education are simply outstanding. Now, here is a FIRST board member, Sherry McCoy, company group chairman of Johnson & Johnson, to tell you more about this very significant benefit of being part of a FIRST team.
Good morning. I know all of you are waiting to see this year's game, and so am I. But before it grabs your attention and makes it so you can barely think about anything else, think about a minute beyond high school. Think about college. The very fact that you are on a FIRST team makes you a very attractive candidate for the most selective colleges in the country. Knowing that, I hope you'll take advantage of the many scholarships available to you as FIRST students. FIRST has over $9 million in scholarships available for students just like you. This year, we have over 20 new scholarship providers for a total of 125 organizations offering scholarships, totaling close to $9.5 million. With the soaring cost of college, the opportunity to win a FIRST scholarship is one of the extraordinary benefits of being on a FIRST team. I encourage each of you to take advantage of the opportunities generously donated by the colleges, universities, corporations, and professional associations whose logos you see here. Many of these scholarships are to study engineering, computer science, mathematics, science, and design. Others are for any course of study you may choose. Why do so many colleges offer you scholarships? Because they want the caliber of student you are. They know you have the skills such as problem solving, project management, and teamwork. They know you work hard, and they know you're willing to accept a challenge. They know FIRST has equipped you to succeed in college. For details on these scholarships and directions on how to apply, please make time to visit the FIRST Scholarship webpage, as many deadlines are looming. And I'll see you out there. Have fun and work hard.
Well, thank you, Sherry, and thanks to all of our board members who give their time, their expertise to FIRST. It's also a time for us to take a minute here to acknowledge everyone who volunteers for FIRST. We constantly think about how we can show our appreciation to the people who make FIRST happen, especially you team leaders and mentors. Thank you for your leadership and your generosity. You're really the heartbeat and the oxygen that gives life to the organization. So team members, please join me in a big round of applause for all of our mentors, team leaders, and volunteers. Thank you. Thank you for all that you do for FIRST and the team members. So how do we continue to spread the word about FIRST? Well, this year we're going to have some exciting new ways to do that, including the premiere of the first documentary produced by our partners at the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. And today we have a sneak preview of one of the teams that the camera followed from last year's kickoff to the championship last season.
For the Miss Daisy team, the season isn't over yet. In the opening match, it becomes clear Miss Daisy can't stand up to the relentless attack of the shooters. Miss Daisy's alliance gets crushed.
They just plastered every team all the way through, and they just plastered us. There's no way that we're gonna win this thing.
Match 2. The Miss Daisy alliance does not give up. They begin to figure out how to foil the shooters' game. Keep the balls away from them. They pick up their own scoring, and it comes down to the final seconds.
We're going with that match! 116 to 1.
Miss Daisy wins by only 2 points. Now it's down to a single elimination match. It's the final match. The championship is on the line. And once again, it's close. Neither alliance can pull ahead. Down by 6 points. And with time running out, Miss Daisy attempts one final maneuver. They've won. But there are penalties.
Oh, crap. We have a penalty.
I didn't see them call it.
It appears that both alliances interfered with each other in the heat of the battle. It's in the hands of the referees.
All right, there was one penalty on each alliance. Who wants the scores?
The Blue Alliance!
It's an amazing finish.
You saw all the problems we had. We've had horrible problems, but we never took our eye off the ball. We kept sticking to the plan, and I think that's the most valuable thing they come away with. If you believe in yourself and you stick to the plan, then things will work out.
Well, I can't wait to see it, and the full show will air on PBS stations this coming spring. Another way we're hoping to spread the word about FIRST is through the President's Circle. The President's Circle was created 2 years ago to help recruit and establish new teams. And last year, the President's Circle included 20 teams that developed a set of resources, from team manuals and DVDs and websites for rookie and veteran teams. And you can find this material by searching for the President's Circle on the usfirst.org website. Well, this year, the 53 teams who submitted a YouTube video will become part of this year's President's Circle, and each of these teams will be asked to nominate one member to participate on a new student advisory board over the next 12 months. We'll be holding online conferences to brainstorm on ideas for promoting FIRST and starting more teams so we can make FIRST the fastest growing varsity sport from grade school through high school. And we've had so many strong video submissions. We have a panel of judges who decided on 2 finalists and a winner. And the finalists are, from Lamar High School in Houston, Texas, Team 2587, the Disco Bots, and the Green Machine, Team 1816 from Edina High School in Edina, Minnesota. And now, the winning video of this year's President's Circle comes from the Cyber Knights, Team 195 from South Indian High School in Connecticut. Let's take a look.
Not what you expected? This is FIRST Robotics. Founded by world-renowned inventor Dean Kamen, FIRST Robotics pits teams of students in a battle of wits, ingenuity, and teamwork.
Every year, each team is given a new game. Every year, it's different.
We are given 6 weeks to design and build a robot.
FIRST is really about the students getting to work with the engineers.
It's like the whole community pitches in. There's only one way to see your work pay off.
When you're at a competition, the crowds go crazy. 5,000 people screaming at the top of their lungs.
My blood's pretty much rushing the entire time.
After the first competition, I was hooked.
This is FIRST Robotics. Start a team today at usfirst.org.
Well, congratulations, Cybernice, and everyone will learn more from us about how to use these videos in the next few weeks to promote FIRST. Well, as you just saw, when you ask FIRST teams to release their creative energies, you better stand back. But I'd like to make a very serious point about the release of this energy, because in a few minutes the curtain's going to go up and you're going to start the hard work, the fun, and learning of another season. And as the first of many adrenaline rushes take hold, please remember to be safe. Always. Everyone at FIRST must treat safety very seriously. We're grateful to Underwriters Laboratories, which is the ultimate brand in product safety, for the safety program developed for FIRST, including regional safety experts, training for safety advisors, and safety supplies. So learn from your safety advisors and fellow team members. This year, UL teamed up with FMA, the Fabricators and Manufacturing Association, to produce a fun and informative new video on safety featuring a special guest who's an expert in both robots and safety. In fact, his day job usually involves blowing things up safely.
Hi, I'm Grant Imahara from Discovery Channel's Mythbusters, where we build a lot of robots. And we do it all safely by following proper safety procedures. Remember, safely building and competing with your robot is no accident. Now, to help you have a safe FRC year, we've created a brand new safety video with our friends at UL and FMA. You requested MCs Mark and Blair in it too. So together, we're going to cover some important safety tips and best practices.
It's cool and funny and smart and poetic.
So go check it out online before you start building your robot. And don't forget, you've got some other great resources too.
Be sure to review the safety manual.
And watch the safety video. And have a great and safe competition season.
Well, we ask everyone to watch the new safety video online from a link from the FIRST website before you start the build process. Watch it as a team. So team safety captains, I charge you with this duty. We're also grateful to Autodesk for their ongoing support with the 2009 Autodesk Inventor, 3ds Max, and combustion software. And teams can find out more about Autodesk software through the Autodesk FIRST base location on the FIRST website. And with this software provided, teams submitted a computer-based animation video to help us highlight one aspect of safety. And this year's winner is the Burning Magnetos from Charleston, South Carolina. And the judges at UL thought this video clearly communicated many safety messages in a very compressed amount of time. There's also an effective use and a nice closing message about gracious professionalism. So congratulations to Team 342. So now I invite you to watch this video, and I wish you all the best this season. I'll see you at the competitions. Good luck, everyone.
When working around power equipment, it is important to wear eye and hearing protection. If you see a teammate lifting a robot alone, stop and help. Lifting heavy equipment alone can be dangerous. Using power tools or electrical equipment without safety goggles can result in eye injury, so remind those around you to wear their safety goggles. Keep these rules in mind when working in the workshop. Help your team and competitors to stay safe.
Safety, share it.
Aloha! I'm Julian Ewan from Team 2504, coming at you from Honolulu, Hawaii. And I am 18! I'm a graduate from Farrington High School and currently a freshman at MIT. I'm honored and super excited to introduce my role model and first founder, DK!
So, thank you to Julian from Hawaii. I was at that regional last year. It was spectacular. And I hope the governor's up early this morning in that horrible warm weather. So, just think about this a second. Julian is 18 years old. First, our competition is 18 years old. This is both exciting and somewhat terrifying, isn't it, that we are as old as Julian? But it is exciting. And I have to tell you, you've already seen some incredibly dense material, beautifully scripted videos, our sponsors. It's really nice to see how, quote, professional FIRST has become. And this transmission's going out like clockwork. I'm sorry to disappoint you all. I haven't ever been able to develop the skills to do that, but I'll be done soon. And we'll have Woody, and Woody is great, and Vince is great, and Dave is great, and we'll get back. But I have the job, since they'll all do the details, and you've heard a lot about the other details, the chairman's what I'm supposed to maybe remind us of the big picture. I always think I should be apologizing for being redundant to all our veterans, some of whom have been here for 18 years. But it occurs to me that you can't have a tradition unless you remind people. You know, Veterans Day happens every year. Thanksgiving. So it's okay. So for your veterans, it's a booster shot. And for all of you rookies, I think it is important to keep track of some of the big picture stuff. Not the how you learn, how you make a robot, but why we do this and what we're doing. So I'm just going to take a couple of minutes and hopefully get us another shot of why this is so important. So, why do we do FIRST? Because the world's a mess. Read the news. Look around you. And 2/3 of the world, we think we have an economic crisis. I keep hearing about our economic crisis. You know, we got lights, we got clean water, we got ways to get around. You've got hospitals, you've got schools, you've got safe malls to go to. We have an economic crisis. 2/3 of all the people alive today, 4 billion people, are living on less than $2 a day. Half of them are living on $1 a day. And that's not a crisis to them because that's their whole life. You're the richest people in the world, by far. And the world's a mess. And somebody's got to fix it. Do you think the people that are living on $1 a day, that don't have clean water, that don't have schools, that don't have technology, that don't have an education, do you think those people can fix it? You have to fix it. I started FIRST because it seemed to me that so many kids in this country were just ignoring that opportunity. You have access to the education. You have access to technology. And our culture just convinced so many kids, and is still doing it, that, you know, figuring out where Britney Spears is today or what Paris Hilton is doing is somehow more important to find on the internet than real knowledge. And it seemed to me that in a culture that's driven by media and in a culture where we're free to celebrate whatever we want and then become good at what we celebrate, we've got to find a way to start seriously convincing all kids, particularly women and minorities in this country, that they have to start celebrating the stuff that matters. We have not just the opportunity, I personally think we have an obligation, a moral obligation, to help the rest of the world, to lead to a world where the solution to problems isn't bombing each other. Maybe the rest of the world, as John Abley pointed out, could learn from us, and cooperation could become the way we go forward. So when we started this thing, we had a couple of things in mind. You've got to make it fun and exciting for kids to see that engineering is every bit as accessible and rewarding and fun as bouncing a ball or any of the other pastimes that have come to dominate our culture and let us obsess over distractions and nonsense while the world unwinds itself. So you have to make it fun because that's what we're competing with. But you have to have content. It has to be meaningful. Otherwise, how am I going to keep getting these giant companies, foundations, government, How are we going to get everybody to keep supporting us unless we can prove that we're really making a difference? So why do we do FIRST? I think it's easy. Because the world needs a lot more technology quickly. And the next generation of technologists has to be able to deal with all sorts of issues, some of which weren't even imaginable when I was the age of some of these kids. You've got to be better at it than we were. You've got to learn faster, and you've got to deliver, probably at an earlier age. And as we've seen very recently, if you also want to have exciting careers, you better start remembering what used to be true. We create wealth. For a while there, the bankers were doing a pretty good job of moving it around. But we got to start creating it again. And the people that create solutions to problems with the tools of science, physics, and engineering are the people we're going to count on to do that, to rebuild our economy, to rebuild the world, make it better than it was. So why we do it, I think, is pretty easy. What is FIRST? Superficially, it might look like it's primarily a robot competition. No pun intended. The robot is just a vehicle. It's just a tool. What we hope we're really building here is serious relationships between serious adults. Not glittery ones, not superficial ones, not fantasies, but the real people in this country that create the value, that make the systems run, that provide the technology for your health care and your security. We want to build relationships with the people in the companies that do this, the organizations that do this, and the kids that we hope will be inspired to do it. The robots are a very convenient, fun way to link everybody together. But what is FIRST? Well, FIRST is a living thing, like any organization. It changes. So I can't tell you what it is at any moment in time. I will tell you that it's mostly and most consistently, while it's always changing, it is a very, very complex assembly of contradictions. A lot of profound contradictions, which is why it's tough to succeed in FIRST. Some of its contradictions. You don't know how frustrated the game design committee gets itself all year, sitting there saying, we've got to make the game tougher this year. We've got to add new challenges. We've got to make those returning veterans see new and more exciting capabilities. And then you sit there and say, but every year there's rookies. There are some teams that have played for 18 years. They've had 18 years to learn to do this. Imagine the first year's kits fit in a shoebox, a couple of motors, a couple of joysticks, wires, no radios, no sensors. Now, a rookie shows up in 2009 with no more experience than a rookie showed up in 1992. They open up a kit of 130 pounds of some of the most sophisticated technology you've ever seen, and a control system that is world-class technology used by engineers, some of whom take a couple of years to figure out how to accomplish their goals with these incredibly powerful tools. And so the game itself is a contradiction. How do we make it ever more challenging and yet so inclusive that we can keep new rookies coming in every year, and we'd like the number of rookies every year to exceed the sum total of everybody else. That's how you build a really big pyramid. And then the contradictions, for instance, we just gave you new controls. It's incredibly exciting. But seriously, this is an incredibly powerful control system. National Instruments sells these systems to very sophisticated engineering organizations, and we all know that it takes a while to learn to use a sophisticated tool. It's not because they're bad. I mean, I'd argue that you can pull a kazoo out of the box and play it. In 10 minutes, you can be making music on your kazoo. Does anybody here think you can pull a violin out to pick up that Stradivarius and be making nice sounds in 10 minutes? So the better the tools, the more capable they are, unfortunately, the more time you have to dedicate to excelling. And perfection has no limits. So we have this contradiction in how the game is made, in what we put in the kids. Another contradiction. First is based on personal relationships between mentors and students. That's probably the most powerful and unique thing that we want to make sure we never lose. And yet, we want to grow so that we can make FIRST available to every kid in this country that wants to participate. So how do you grow and have an ever more extended reach at an accelerated rate and still have a completely one-on-one personal set of relationships, now between literally hundreds of thousands of students and mentors? It's tough. The game itself, in order to keep students interested, in order to get media attention, in order to bring FIRST to the world, we want to make the competitions more and more and more spectacular. But as the games start to become that spectacular and the pressure of having everybody watch what you're doing starts getting more intense, you could imagine that just like we've learned from the rule book of sports, of how to get people excited, we don't want all the trappings of other sports. We want this to be intensely competitive and fun, but we don't want what inevitably has affected, I think, in a negative way, so many other kinds of sports where people will win at any cost, where they forget the point. We want intense competition, but we want gracious professionalism. We want somehow that everybody remembers the chairman's award is way more important than the points. And unlike in other sports, the skill sets you walk away with having competed in FIRST are the skill sets, unlike I'm a little better at bouncing a ball. The skill sets you walk away with if you do this right are the skill sets that will give you careers, a lifetime of being able to do things that the world is in desperate need of and can make you all very successful people. How do we keep the competition intense without losing the big picture? Again, it's a contradiction. We want to make the game a sport. We want to make it fun. But the contradiction is we want everybody to recognize that we have stayed true to the fact that FIRST is a real, genuine, card-carrying microcosm of the real world of engineering. We give you a little time, never as much as you need, like in the real world of engineering. We give you a little bit of material, never what you'd really want. You never know what the competitors are doing. We're trying to make sure that, unlike just a game or some fake competition, FIRST really is a way to show you what the world of science and technology and inventing and problem solving is. Keep it fun and keep it serious. Most sports don't have to keep it serious. It's all hard. If it frustrates you, tough. It frustrates us. But it's important. I could go on with a lot of its contradictions, but I think you get the point. Hey, if it's tough, if it's frustrating, if it's expensive, why do we do it? I'm supposed to be able to answer the why also. Why does it work? To me, that's my biggest concern and my biggest worry as I simultaneously deal with the contradiction of I want to get FIRST into every school. I think every kid deserves the opportunity to participate, but without sacrificing any quality. without having to give up the personal relationships that are so powerful. How do you do that? You attract extraordinary people, and you create a culture that is a magnet for extraordinary people, whether they're the sponsors, you've heard a few of them today, whether they're the mentors. You create a culture and you create an environment that collects extraordinary people and gives them extraordinary, nearly impossible tasks. And you tell them to go out and do it. And it works. At least it's worked for 18 years because in all these contradictions, we've kept that balance pretty well. I know we're in the 40th anniversary of sending people to the moon. I don't think it's a coincidence that it was NASA that did that, and NASA is one of the biggest sponsors FIRST has, and you'll hear from Dave Lavery at NASA soon. He helped put little robots on Mars. I don't think it's a coincidence that what kicked off that program was a contradiction. President Kennedy said in a pretty famous speech long before the students here were born, he said, we go to the moon not because it's easy, but because it's hard. And he didn't want to waste the time and the money and the resources and risk the lives of people just because it's hard. What he meant was, I think, almost anything that's important, that's worth doing, is hard. The important stuff that's easy has been done. What's left is really hard. And what we're asking all of you to do is really hard. And the only way we're going to be able to deal with this set of issues of how do we grow really fast, because I think we are in a race. I think it would be nice to say we don't need to grow fast, but a whole high school generation is only 4 years. We can't think in the time frame of companies that have been around 100 years or people whose careers are 50 years. We've got to move fast without sacrificing any quality. So we need all of you to help us. I would ask all of you throughout this year in particular, I know we always say take a deep breath, but this year you really are going to see a massively more sophisticated control system. I hope all the people that know how to use it, all the veterans and all the people with experience with NI products will go the extra mile to help everybody else get up to speed quickly. You really will see a game. Not to give you any hints about how we might be sliding down that slippery slope into a difficult problem, but you're going to see a lot of new and different stuff this year. It'll help even the field for you rookies, because those veterans know a lot of stuff today that just ain't so anymore. But it's going to be challenging on many levels, and we're growing really fast. And I would ask everybody, please, to look around you, wherever you are around the country. Mentors look at the students, and students look at the mentors. And remember, this isn't about the points. In a basketball game, it is about the points, because that skill set doesn't have a lot of broad-based value anywhere else. Students, you should look at these mentors and think about the fact that they're all extraordinary people. They're really busy. They've got day jobs. They've got responsibilities and obligations, but somehow the technical community has decided to make a huge investment, way more than the money. They're investing their time in you to give you a shot at maybe being the next generation of technologists to lead the world. And if you come away from FIRST having some sense of what the world of technology is, what these professionals do, if you come away with some experience that might be literally the experience of a lifetime, or you had a successful season, please do not get caught up in the minutia. We have volunteer judges. We have volunteer refs. We create a game where we deliberately insert luck. But life isn't about luck, not the important pieces of life. So I'm here to remind you of the big picture. I hope the sport is fun. I hope the game is fun. There's a much, much bigger opportunity here. Take advantage of the time you have with these mentors, and mentors, please make sure these students are getting to see you in the right light, doing the important things that are what make FIRST. It wouldn't be me without a homework assignment. Before I introduce Vince, who's going to show you a little bit about our new control system, homework. Over the last couple of years, I've been trying to get more exposure on TV and in print media, and it's been working. Last couple of years, get your senator, get your congressman, get your governor to an event so that as we grow, we'll be able to prove that we can scale up, especially if we get government to do what government should appropriately do, which isn't a lot, by the way, of taking over FIRST, but they can help lubricate the system, get rid of some of the friction, as you'll see. This year, I'm going to give you a homework assignment, which I hope you'll start on right away, but I'll give you a full 2 years to finish it. 2009 is going to be a great year for us. At the end of 2010, 2 years from now, we have our 20th anniversary. One of the things that FIRST has not been very good at, you can blame me. In the early days, we had no capacity to keep track of all our alumni, not the students, not the mentors. When we started FIRST, there was no Google. 20 years ago, not too many people played on the internet. For lots of reasons, technology is helping, but for lots of other reasons, we're getting bigger and better, and I hope smarter. But one of the most valuable things I think we have as an organization, what our culture is, not just the people we have here, but how about the kids that were in FIRST 18 years ago? They could have kids your age now. They could be the presidents of the companies that they were interns at as summer students. What about the engineers that were our young mentors? Where are they now? We don't even know how to find most of them because we don't know their names. And if you go out now and start to think, how would I go to the Baxter Bomb Squad team of 1993 and find out where all the people are that probably have long since left Mountain Home Arkansas? Well, Kerry's here. She now works at DECA. And I asked her, and she said, well, I could go back, I could check, I could go to my old teachers, we could check the year, but we could talk to the companies. So here's my plan. Whether you're a rookie this year and you won't lose the information now that it's easy to get because you're right here, or whether you're a veteran, you're all going to go back and you're going to try to retroactively rebuild a database of every former participant in FIRST, either as a student, as a mentor, as the teacher, as the coach, as the sponsor. We're going to make that easy. Paul Godonis is going to have some people put a spot up on our website very soon. And it's going to sort of guide you through what we need to know, how to find them, their email address, what they did. And we're going to rebuild and expand our alumni base so that at our 20th anniversary, in 2 years, we ought to have at least 1 million people. And then we ought to have a big alumni celebration. So we'll ask Kate, wherever she might be, to start planning, and it'll be in the midterm of this new changed administration. And maybe we'll ask some of you to bring some of those then 20-year-old robots out of retirement. They'll probably look small and frail like me at a time like that. And maybe we'll go down to the mall in Washington, and maybe we'll bring 20 years of robots and maybe the voice of 1 million people that get it. And maybe that'll help us really ensure that we continue to grow and make FIRST available to everybody everywhere. Now, how do we grade the homework? As usual, I don't know. I was never good at that stuff. And what are we going to give the people that give us the best supply of alums? I don't know. But trust me, we'll make it fun. And it will be an effort that I hope you'll agree was worthwhile. So the homework, work with the FIRST people, but we've got to rebuild. Certainly everybody here, that's an easy no-brainer. We cannot afford to lose any more knowledge about all the people that are part of the FIRST community. But the homework's going to be our whole current community is going to help us reconnect with all the people that we have impacted and have impacted us. Now, we really do, as most of you know, have a great new control system. But as I said, it's like any great new technology. A violin is a little harder to get comfortable with than a kazoo. Many of you know Vince Wyslinski. He was a professor. He's now off doing bigger stuff. But Vince is a PhD mechanical engineer and a professor engineering at the U.S. Coast Guard Academy. Vince took a sabbatical from there a few years ago to help us really get things going up here inside FIRST. And once again, we called on Vince like, hey, Vince, we need a really good way to jumpstart people, get them comfortable with this extraordinary new, very powerful control system. And like everybody else at FIRST, you ask somebody to do something, and somehow they do a spectacular job. Vince has done nothing short of a spectacular job of putting together a little preview, a little introduction to the new system. I'd like him to come up and tell you how it all works. Where's Vince? Vince!
Welcome to another exciting FIRST Robotics competition season. I'm Vince Wyslinski, a FIRST supporter from the U.S. Coast Guard Academy. The 2009 FRC control system is a really big deal. While your team's programmers may have already had their hands on your controller, we wanted the entire FIRST community to see the new system. Let's take a walk around some of its parts. The National Instruments C-RIO mobile device controller is the backbone of the system. The controller includes a 32-bit 400 MHz power PC and is programmable in either LabVIEW or C. Software and default programs are provided for each programming environment. 5 modules plug into the C-RIO to receive and transmit signals, and each module has a custom-made interface to optimize its use. 16 analog input signals can be monitored with NI9201 modules. Analog breakout boards provide easy attachment and 5 volts of power for your robot's analog sensors. A jumper on input 7 in slot 1 is needed to monitor the robot battery's voltage. NI9403 digital input-output modules and their associated digital sidecars allow 32 digital signals to be connected to the control system. The interface can be used with inputs such as sensors or outputs such as PWM connections to relays, motor controllers, and servos. Jumpers provide 6-volt power to each output that is connected to a servo. Speaking of speed controllers, there are 2 types this year: the IFI Robotics Victor and the Luminary Microsystems Jaguar speed controllers. Motor relay control is provided with IFI Robotics Spike relays. The NI9472 digital output module, and breakout board supply 12 volts, 3/4 amp power on each of 8 channels. This interface allows you to directly power pneumatic solenoids with the controller, thereby eliminating the need to use separate relays to activate solenoids. The power distribution board provides power to all of your robot's electrical system. Wago connectors enable crimp-free connections and are a great feature of this board. A word of caution, metric size M6 nuts must be used on the lugs on this board. Using standard 1/4-20 nuts on the connection will permanently damage these metric lugs. Another electronic goodie is the Axis Ethernet camera that connects to the C-Rio with a crossover cable. Software has been written to readily use this camera for robot control. As a cautionary note, the enclosures for both the camera and the C-Rio are grounded. As such, make sure these devices are insulated from your robot chassis. An Ethernet cable connects the C-Rio to a wireless game adapter, thereby enabling 802.11n wireless communication between the robot and the driver station. Now for the driver's interface. The driver station supports up to 4 USB controllers. Analog and digital interfaces are also provided for custom-built controllers and indicators. An LCD screen displays parameters such as your team number, system status, and battery voltage. 2 USB joysticks are provided, and teams are free to use additional USB interfaces. Be careful not to turn on your driver station if the joysticks are not centered. The system automatically centers the USB signals during boot up, so it's important that the joysticks be in their naturally centered locations when the system initializes. When you're not at a competition, a dongle connection needs to be used to enable and disable the robot. Since the default condition is disabled, it might help to tether the dongle to the driver station to prevent it from getting lost. The wireless router connects to the driver station to enable communication with the robot. At competitions, the router won't be needed, with robot communication provided through the competition port. The FRC website provides all of the control system details, including important instructions for updating your software and firmware. In addition to this site, National Instruments, WPI, and a host of teams are also posting important guidance to help you get the most out of your control system. The 2009 FRC control system is a result of an amazing collaboration between a legion of contributors. When Dean unveiled this system at the 2008 championship, he challenged the FRC community to work together and build the world's best robot control system. As we now move into the competition season, teams are urged to continue to assist each other with this new technology and to make this year better than ever. Good luck and keep everything under control.
Hi everybody, I'm Grant Cox, driver from Team 217, the Thunder Chickens, based out of Sterling Heights, Michigan. I'm 18, and while I don't know what the game is yet either, I am thrilled to introduce to you this morning NASA Program Executive for Solar System Exploration and member of the FRC Game Design Committee, Dave Lavery.
Thank you, Grant. A lot of people have asked over the years why NASA is as involved as we are with the FRC program and why a government organization would do something like this. I want to take just a minute and give you just a very, very short bit of history. About 15 years ago, I was in the process of running the robotics research program within NASA. And we were going through our annual process of receiving proposals and hearing from folks who wanted to have us fund research work in robotics. And one of the conversations we had at the time was, as we're looking around, we're realizing the same people were coming back year after year from the robotics community asking us for support. And we're looking and realizing it was the same faces over and over again. They were getting a little bit older and a little bit grayer, and nobody new was coming through the process. And we didn't quite know what to do to help change that, to really get some new blood into it. And purely from serendipity, about the same time, a couple of kids from our neighborhood, Amy Forrestal and Lena Holt, came down the street and talked to Dave Miller and I and said, we saw this thing on TV last night. They had this guy, and he was really excited. And it was like a 3-minute long piece on 2020. And it's somebody named Cayman. And he was up in New Hampshire. He had this robotics competition. It sounded really cool. You guys, Dave and Dave, you do stuff with robots. Will you help us build a team so we can do what this Cayman guy was talking about? Because it sounded sort of fun. Dave and I looked at each other and said, yeah, okay, we'll give it a shot. What do we have to do? And we figured that it would be like any other sponsorship activity. We'd have to basically provide financial support, write a check, and send the students on their way and have a great time. And they said, no, you don't understand. That we need you to help us with the team. There's this thing called mentoring that's involved. We need you guys. We want your money too. Never turn that down. But we want you guys to come and help us. And we sort of scratched our heads and said, well, okay, this sounds different. Let's give it a shot and see what's going on. And about the same time, there was another group associated with the NASA Glenn Research Center out in Cleveland. Gary Crawford and his team were going through exactly the same conversation. And Gary and I got on the phone together, and we started talking back and forth and said, what is this mentoring thing they're talking about? What do we have to do? And I had asked Gary, do you know what this is about? And Gary said, I don't know. And Gary called me back and said, do you know what it's about? And I said, I don't know. Well, should we do this? I don't know. Well, tell you what. If we don't know what we're supposed to do, then by definition we can't do it wrong. Let's give it a shot. And we basically made a commitment at that point and said, we'll do this for a year. At the end of a year, we'll have fulfilled the request, we'll have helped these students, we'll have done their thing, we'll have figured out what this mentoring stuff is, and we don't have to do it anymore. We'll make it a 1-year commitment. That was 15 years ago. We're still here. One of the things that we figured out thank you for that. My wife has a different opinion. One of the things we figured out was how important the mentoring role was in this entire program and where it fit. One of the things we didn't understand in the beginning but has been made absolutely crystal clear to us ever since then is FIRST and FRC are different than anything else out there. The role of the mentor in the team's activities, how the mentor fits in the picture, is what makes this whole program unique. It is what makes it different. We went a couple of years ago and actually did a survey of all of the robotics competition programs that are available to students, high school and college level students throughout the United States. At the time, I identified 82 different programs that a high school or college student could participate in related to robotics competition effects. 81 of them were fundamentally the same thing. 81 of them were science fairs. Take a problem, give it to a bunch of students, give them a kit of parts, give them a certain schedule, tell them, go off in the corner based on what you already know, what you've already learned in the classroom, build a solution to the problem, come back and compete. One was different. One said, take a bunch of students, take a problem statement, give them a kit of parts, give them a schedule, and give them a bunch of mentors who are professional engineers, scientists, and technologists, and let them work together as peers on a team where they can learn from each other and the students get to experience how a professional problem solves, how a professional thinks. It's a different experience. Yes, there's a robot in there, but the focus is on the relationships that's built between the students and the mentors and being exposed to a different way of learning, a different way of thinking, a different way of problem decomposition. That was the spark that we needed to see to understand this is where a NASA can play a role, where a large corporation, a Baxter, a Lockheed Martin, a General Motors, a Ford, can contribute not just financially, but can contribute people, knowledge, experience, and expertise to help students understand not only what they can do already, but this is what you can do in 10 years, in 20 years, in 30 years. The real message I've got is for the teams that have chosen to not have mentors participating in your teams, I want to ask you to think about it again. If you have chosen to do this problem without mentors on your teams, technically, yes, you're probably going to be able to compete and play the game. It's going to be tough, it's going to be harder, but you can probably do it. It's certainly reasonable. But if you have chosen to not have mentors on your team and to do this by yourselves, you're missing an opportunity to work side by side with some of the best engineers in the world. You're missing an opportunity to learn from some of the most creative and innovative designers that are out there. You're missing an opportunity to be inspired by some of the best problem solvers in the world. Realistically, you're missing the point. What we want you to do instead, to all of those teams and all the teams that already get it and understand the role of the mentor, we want you instead to dare to try to do something different. Dare to try to learn about problem solving and doing things in a different way. Get outside of your comfort zone. Let the mentor show you something that you're not used to doing. We want you to dare to be exposed to new ways to think. We basically want you to dare to be inspired. That's what we want you to take away from this program. Have fun for the next 6 weeks.
I'm Alex Sempani from Team 987, the High Rollers in Las Vegas, Nevada, and I'm 18. I'm a freshman at Stanford University and now a mentor for my team. I'm excited to introduce first National Advisor and all-around great guy, Woody Flowers.
Thank you. Thank you, Alex. Good morning, all. It's almost time. In less than 10 minutes, you'll all know who was right in your interpretation of the clues. This is a big year. FIRST is meeting or has met all of its growth goals. My dire predictions were just dead wrong. Because of your hard work, FIRST seems to be the most recession-resistant thing on the planet. Now, this is also a big year because in addition to these intense competitions in all of the FIRST programs, we have to help lead the charge to change our culture. Now, we've talked about FIRST being a way to get in the game. I think it's time for us to talk about FIRST being a vehicle to redefine the game. When Dean founded FIRST, it became very influential, but its influence has not grown as fast as it must. The dark side has grown faster. While all of you have been being great examples of gracious professionalism, celebrating knowing how, working hard, and being gracious on Wall Street and to some extent in Washington and lots of other places on the planet, greedy incompetence was running rampant. Well, that stuff broke. It fell down, and it did a lot of damage when it fell down. I think we could say to society, what do you want? You want greedy incompetence, or you want gracious professionalism? You want selfish ignorance, or gracious professionalism? I think the answer is pretty clear. Things work much better when people are willing to work and think hard, very, very hard, and treat each other with a fully developed sense of empathy. Now, even though that seems really clear, we still have a lot of work to do to get society to understand that we must, through gracious professionalism, dig ourselves out of this deep hole. In general, the adults have blown it. So for us, I offer to the younger people an apology. But not all adults have been behaving crazily. The mentors and the sponsors of FIRST are the kind of adults that we need to have running the system. To them, I say thank you very much. Those FIRST adults are great role models for the non-FIRST adults who clearly need adult supervision. The responsible adults have been helping you guys learn how you can fix this mess. They're helping you learn that you can accomplish very complex and difficult things with tight time constraints, working with others, being a member of a team, learning things like I call ad hoc learning. I need to know how to use this software. I will learn how now by myself if necessary. You're learning to be creative, solving real problems, not just the ones that are in the back of the chapter of the textbook. Problems that involve science and technology, but also people, community, money, culture, real stuff. So armed with that understanding, you can leverage yourself. Now, I'm talking about positive leverage. I'm not talking about credit default swaps and the stuff that the guys on Wall Street were leveraging. Those so-called financial products were leveraged 30 to 1. You have to make up for that nonsense by leveraging your learning and know-how by 30 to 1. So we're talking about individual economic stimulus packages. Each of you can be your own economic stimulus package. And if you leverage that 30 to 1, as Paul said, we got about 200,000 young people involved in FIRST. That's 6 million people. We're talking about real impact. So we must take advantage of this great opportunity. Last year at the kickoff, I talked a little bit about flat panel happiness and entitlement bonbons. I was trying to make a point about our collective bad assumption that things will make us happy and that we somehow deserve them as maybe a birthright. Duh. They don't make us happy, and we don't deserve them. Overconsumption has run its course. We must learn how to earn more than we consume. We must learn how to earn real wealth. We must learn how to earn sustainable wealth. And that wealth should come from directly satisfying real needs, solving the world's problems, things like reducing energy consumption and greenhouse gases, improving health, providing high-quality food, providing clean water. Busting your chops with your colleagues to make a super robot with very tight time constraints is a great way to make sure that you're ready to be a contributor not only to the economy, but to our culture. So with the help of the amazing mentors that have helped you learn some life lessons on how to open doors, I believe more than ever that the FIRST model is a really good one. And maybe, just maybe, the only silver lining to this economic and moral malaise that surround us is that society may be willing to listen as we grab ourselves by our gracious professionalism bootstraps and drag ourselves into a better place. I just read Malcolm Gladwell's new book, The Outliers. It's about success, and I like his argument. He says that unusual success comes not from just being smart, but through being in the right place at the right time and having the right attitude about working hard. I'm not claiming that I'm an outlier, but I am having a wonderfully satisfying and interesting career. And for me, feeling a bit insecure has been an asset. I always feel like the people around me are more capable than me, and that inspires me to work hard. And being in a small town in Louisiana from a literally dirt poor family was being in the right place for my social studies teacher to notice that I could not fully extend my left arm. And he sent me to a hospital 40 miles away, and a doctor examined me and said, this boy needs a rehabilitation scholarship. Scholarship here, FIRST has many scholarships. So that scholarship, coupled with my father's excellent mentorship when I was building a hot rod roadster in high school, put me in a good position to go off to college, major in engineering, and work really hard. And for me, that was some of the stuff that was being in the right place at the right time with the right attitude about working hard. I was also in the right place and the right time when I met my wife, Margaret. But for you guys, it is very clear, I think, that FIRST is some of the right stuff, and the right time is now, and all you need do is provide the right attitude. And if you do, this competition that we're about to unveil is almost guaranteed to minimize the chance of emotional and economic depression. So as we make the transition to see the game, let's do a quick demo. So, on Earth, if I were having a tug-of-war with Kate, I am heavier than she, I would probably win. But for some weird reason, if I were maybe on the moon and 5/6 of my weight were being offset by something like this, I could jump higher, look like those guys on the moon, but in this tug-of-war, I don't have a chance. She has much more traction than me. So what do you think this silly demonstration has to do with this year's game? Well, let's meet the Game Design Committee and find out.
Working alongside Dean, Woody, and Dave on the Game Design Committee are the Director of FRC, Emperor Bill Miller. From the United States Coast Guard Academy, Captain Hollywood Vince Wilczynski. From Atlanta, Georgia, QSEPT engineer Jeremy Roberts. Our chief referee for the competition this year, from North Carolina, Dr. Aiden Brown. And from FIRST, our kit of parts engineer, Kate Pilot. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for. Ready, 3, 2, 1, go!
Wait a minute. There's nothing here. Wait a minute. There's nothing here. How are we going to explain the game?
Well, Woody, when we get into a spot like this, my guess is we could probably count on Dave for maybe a little animation. How about it?
Well, I'd like to thank my family for letting me give up another Christmas vacation to heat my house with computers that were rendering for the last 3 weeks. But yeah, we've got one again.
Okay, let's roll it.
Welcome to the 2009 FIRST Robotics Competition and this year's game, Lunacy. Lunacy on a 27 by 54 foot field known as the Crater. Alliances of 3 teams are each positioned in bases at each end of the field, from where they control their robots. Additional outpost player stations are located along the edges of the crater. A crater is covered with a slick polymer material called regolith that provides a unique surface for the robots to drive upon. Special wheels are used on the robots to create a low-friction interaction with the regolith. This simulates the low traction effects of driving in 1/6 gravity on the surface of the moon. Lunacy uses 3 types of game pieces, known as moon rocks, empty cells, and supercells. A trailer is attached to each robot. The trailers are the targets for the opposing alliance. The objective of the game is to get as many moon rocks and supercells into the opposing trailers as possible. At the start of the game, human players known as payload specialists are positioned in the outpost stations. Each robot is placed on their launch pad, with a trailer touching the wall of the crater. Robots are able to start the game with up to 7 moon rocks in their possession. During the autonomous period, players in the corner fueling stations and the outposts attempt to launch moon rocks into moving trailers. Each robot starts in a launch pad in front of an opposing player. As robots start to move away, the other alliance may try to block the robot's progress to make them easy targets. Or, robots may use their cameras to track the vision targets on top of each trailer. This allows them to track and score in their opponent's trailer. At the end of the autonomous period, human pilots step forward to take the control. During the teleoperated period of the game, pilots guide the robots as they attempt to launch moon rocks into the trailers of the opposing alliance. Meanwhile, human payload specialists will also attempt to score moon rocks into passing trailers. Robots can also recycle game pieces back to the payload specialists. With a low-friction playing surface, robots will slide easily and high-speed collisions will be common. Bumpers are necessary to prevent damage. The outpost payload specialist can also deliver special empty cells to their robots. The robots then deliver these empty cells to their fueling stations. At the fueling station, the empty cells are exchanged for supercells. During the last 20 seconds of the match, humans or robots can score bonus points by getting supercells into opposing trailers. Each scored moonrock or empty cell is worth 2 points, and each supercell is worth 15 points in the game. Good luck, and we'll see you at the competitions.
So we hope you like the new field this year. It looks different, and it is different. We just want to do some demonstrations to make sure that you understand how different things are going to be this year. These two robots are not legal robots. They're just boxes on wheels, but they'll help us get you started thinking about the challenge that you face. So, Dean, what have you got?
So, Woody, as you said, this isn't street legal. In fact, we added some weights here just to make it a little closer to a real robot. Mostly it's here to demonstrate all the really cool new stuff they've got, like this C-Rio from National Instruments for the controller, and the Luminary Microsystems Jaguar speed controllers. And hopefully this layout will give people a perspective on just how new and exciting everything's going to be this year.
Now, it's too big, so it's not going to be really legal. It's square.
Oh, yeah, this thing is too big to pass inspection. It was built as a demo. We don't want to give people preconceived ideas on size and shape. We did, however, want to show all this really neat stuff, including this one's got 4 motors. It would really move if it had some friction.
Okay, so Dave, what have you got? Looks like the same basic robot made all out of kit parts, but only 2 motors. Is Dean going to clean your clock?
Well, we'll have to see what happens. Probably should have built this one myself rather than let Dean do it for me. But given the drive ratios we've got in the kit of parts this year and what we're doing in the game, not sure that 2 motors versus 4 motors is going to give that much of an advantage. Well, after all, take a look at this.
Wow. The coefficient of friction is really low.
Physics are going to be really different this year in terms of how it affects the game. You just saw Woody demonstrate what happens with 5/6 of his weight removed and his ability to have traction. Combine that with a low coefficient of friction surface like the one we have in the game this year, it gives you about 1/6 of what you're used to, and all of a sudden you've got a great ability to simulate what it's like driving on the surface of the moon.
Let's give it a try.
Okay, show me what you got.
Hey, not much traction here. Can I use snow tires?
You have to use the kit wheels, and you can't put studs on them no matter how much it snows.
You can't push Woody, but let's see if you can do something that's more in your league.
Whoa! Aiden, is that a ramming violation? Nope, not this year, Woody. The low friction surface combined with the mandatory bumpers has really minimized the potential for damage. It's really going to make the ref's job easy this year.
Awesome bumpers on both machines, though. What's in them?
Those 2-inch pool noodles in them, covered with tough fabric, and the machines have to have bumpers 2/3 of the way around.
Okay, Woody, so what's next?
Let's race.
Well, but how's that fair? I mean, Dean has 4 motors.
Let's find out. Aiden, you want to start them off?
Sure. Racers ready? 3, 2, 1, go.
Wow. The physics is really different this year. Now, we're not trying to say that 2 motors is better than 4 or 4 better than 2. We just want to make sure that you understand that things are different this year.
Exactly, Woody. And to the new teams out there, think about a world of low friction. And to the returning teams, you better rethink the strategies that might have worked well in the past. But don't worry, you all have 6 weeks, starting right now.
Well, starting in about 10 minutes. But it really is a whole brand new design space. In fact, the veteran teams who are really well set in their ways probably have more to unlearn. It's going to be tough for them.
So, enough about the physics. Let's see what this means about the way the game's played.
Well, I think I'm going to turn it over to an expert. Kate.
And Eric, you've got the con for ours.
So we have just 2 robots on the field, and we think that'll make it easy for us to demonstrate some of the things that are different about this year's game. We hope you'll think about these things carefully before you start building.
In fact, think 3 times, measure twice, cut once.
Or maybe it's just animate, animate, animate.
Okay, let's see what we got. Aiden, is that a pinning violation?
Nope, not this year, Woody. As a matter of fact, we don't expect very many penalties at all.
What keeps them from filling it right to the top?
Kate's got a big traction advantage. She's got her wheels on the carpet. Eric will never be able to hold it.
Okay, the story on those supercells, they worth 15 points each, right?
Yep, 15 points. Each alliance starts with up to 4 empty cells in their outpost, and they can exchange them for supercells by getting them through their fuel ports.
So let's say in a max round, an alliance can get 120 points with their 60 two-point moon rocks, and another 60 points if they get all 4 supercells?
Not exactly. The individual moon rocks and supercells are not assigned to a particular alliance. If you can manage to score all 120 rock and all 8 supercells, you'll earn 360 points.
I get it. That would be quite a feat, but perhaps not the best strategy. It would cost you your empty and your supercells in the next match. It looks really tough to keep the trailer away from all 3 opposing shooters. With 6 robots on the field, there's going to be no place to hide.
It looks like moon rocks are coming from everywhere.
Each team gets 60 moon rocks at the start of the match. I'm glad we're not using real ones. It's hard enough just signing out 1 from the guys in Houston.
Aiden, why aren't the mission specialists shooting the supercells as soon as they get them?
Oh, Woody, they can't before the 20-second buzzer. If they do so, they'll get a double penalty.
Anytime in the last 20 seconds of the round, the mission specialists can deploy their supercells.
Right, as long as there's an enabling empty cell on the opposite hook.
What do the mission specialists do with these supercells now?
They use them just like moon rocks. They have to be in or hanging on a goal to count. Nice shot. That's good for 15 points.
There should be no reason to have any moon rocks left at the end. And with all 6 machines pulling goals, they should have plenty of targets.
Great job, everybody. What's next?
Well, next we thought we'd get a reaction from the audience. I'm here with Sarah from Windsor, Connecticut. Sarah, what team are you on?
Team Paragon, number 571.
And how many years have you been on the team?
4 years.
Okay, so Sarah has seen 3 years of previous competition. What's your reaction to this year's game?
It's awesome. It's a 1/6 gravity and reduced friction. It's like sliding on ice.
Well, good luck. Leave your ice skates at home. I'm interested to see what your team builds. Good luck to you, and good luck to all the teams in the competition this year.
Hi, I'm Nicole Schroeffer, and I'm 18. I'm a member of Team 433 of the Firebirds, located in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and we are the longest-running all-female team in the United States. And now, it's time to play Who Wants to Be an Engineer? Please welcome our contestants, Dean, Woody, and Dave, and your host, Paul Gudanis.
Well, thanks for the introduction, Nicole, and welcome everyone to the 2009 first game show, Who Wants to Be an Engineer? Let's get started. Woody, you're first. This year, all wheels on the robot must be A, sourced from the local junkyard, B, have a minimum 26-inch diameter, C, be unaltered rover wheels, or D, actually the wheels are optional this year. Go figure.
Paul, that's a hard one, but I'm pretty sure it's C. They must be unaltered wheels specified in the kit. No changes to the wheels are allowed.
Right you are, Woody. So here's the next one for you, Dave. How do you find the best hotel rooms in North America? A, road trip. You just jump in the bus and drive. B, everyone knows that the best hotel rooms in North America are the ones in Atlanta during the first championship, and the only way to book them is with Steel Meetings through the link on the first website. C, 1-800-I-HEART-ROBOTS. Or D, forget hotel rooms, everyone's rooming with Dean.
Well, I know that Dean would probably love to host a slumber party. I'm sure his credit card wouldn't mind it. But I'm going to go with B. Go to Steel Meetings.
Is this your final answer?
Final answer.
You're right, Dave. Now, a slumber party with Dean would have been fun, but Steel Meetings is the place. So, okay, Dean, here's one for you. The fix-it window this year is A, broken. B, is a new 24-hour drive-through robot parts distributor. C, has been extended by 0.25 hours. Or D, there's no longer a fix-it window. There's a 45-pound withholding allowance. Make sure to read the manual about this change.
Well, usually when it says start by reading the competition manual, that's a good idea. So I kind of say it's D. And yes, I can assure you there is no longer a fix-it window, and there is a 45-pound withholding allowance. So D.
Way to go, Dean. You're right. Back to you, Woody. So what is the new requirement to enter the pits at all FRC events? That A, everyone must wear denim all the time. Everyone must sport a ponytail. C, everyone must wear a Hawaiian shirt. Or D, anyone under 12 years old must be accompanied by an adult.
I don't know, some of the great fun that you see at the competitions is noticing how all the teams express their team with their team colors. I think it'd be pretty sad if it were A, B, or C, so I'm going with D, Paul.
D is correct, Woody. Yes.
There's a 15-point bonus on that because that's necessary but not sufficient. They must be accompanied by an adult, and they must be wearing safety glasses.
That's right. Thank you, Dean. So let's keep going on here. You guys are doing great. So Dave, what should never be done more than one at a time? A, long strings of math equations. B, tying your shoes. C, telling your mentors and parents how much you appreciate them for their time and effort. Or D, robots are allowed to move only one empty cell at a time to one of their Alliance airlocks.
I don't know, this one's a little bit tougher because usually they've always told us that C is the correct answer most of the time, except in this case, if you're throwing a party to thank your mentors and parents, that can never be done too much. So I think in this case, I'm going to go with D, that you're never allowed to have a robot moving more than one empty cell at a time over to the airlock for your Alliance.
D?
D.
Right you are, Dave. Okay, Dean, your turn. Allowable speed controllers this year are A, brakes. B, asking Dean to make a speech to slow things down. C, the Victor 884 or the Jaguar. Or D, none. Speed controllers are overrated.
Well, let me make a speech about that before. I think the right answer should be B, but I'm going to go with C. You can use the Victor 884 or the Jaguar. That's it.
Final answer?
That's it.
Yes, Dean, it is C. Woody, this one is yours.
Great. Ready?
What are the important changes this year about the FedEx donation for robot shipments? A, postage and handling. B, due to the economy, teams can mail one mentor per crate to save on travel costs. C, remember to high-five the FedEx carrier because your robot will be finished. Or D, first, event managers will no longer provide shipping paperwork to teams that qualify for the championship. And second, the donation stipulations are a bit more flexible this season, so be sure to read Section 4 and remember to manage your shipments wisely.
I don't know, Paul. I hope I'm not wrong, but I think this one's easy. I think the answer is D. Teams should read Section 4 of the manual about shipping.
That's correct. Correct, and good to know. And now for the last question. For all of you, how do you get the access code to unlock the Lunacy manual? A, build a robot that's faster than Michael Phelps in the 100-meter butterfly. B, be a finalist on the new hit TV show America's Next Top C Programmer? C, just ask Bill Miller. Or D, look at the screen right now.
One giant leap for FRC. So we hope you like the new field this year. It looks different, and it is different. We just want to do some demonstrations to make sure that you understand how different things are going to be this year. These two robots are not legal robots. They're just boxes on wheels, but they'll help us get you started thinking about the challenge that you face. So, Dean, what have you got?
So, Woody, as you said, this isn't street legal. In fact, we added some weights here just to make it a little closer to a real robot. Mostly it's here to demonstrate all the really cool new stuff they've got, like this C-Rio from National Instruments for the controller, and the Luminary Microsystems Jaguar speed controllers. And hopefully this layout will give people a perspective on just how new and exciting everything is going to be this year.
Now, it's too big, so it's not going to be really legal. It's square.
Oh, yeah, this thing is too big to pass inspection. It was built as a demo. We don't want to give people preconceived ideas on size and shape. We did, however, want to show all this really neat stuff, including this one's got 4 motors. It would really move if it had some friction.
Okay, so Dave, what have you got? Looks like the same basic robot made all out of kit parts, but only 2 motors. Is Dean going to clean your clock?
Well, we'll have to see what happens. Probably should have built this one myself rather than let Dean do it for me. But given the drive ratios we've got in the kit of parts this year and what we're doing in the game, not sure that 2 motors versus 4 motors is going to give that much of an advantage. Well, after all, take a look at this.
Wow. The coefficient of friction is really low.
Physics are going to be really different this year in terms of how it affects the game. You just saw Woody demonstrate what happens with 5/6 of his weight removed and his ability to have traction. Combine that with a low coefficient of friction surface like the one we have in the game this year, it gives you about 1/6 of what you're used to, and all of a sudden you've got a great ability to simulate what it's like driving on the surface of the moon.
Let's give it a try.
Okay, show me what you got.
Hey, not much traction here. Can I use snow tires?
You have to use the kit wheels, and you can't put studs on them no matter how much it snows.
You can't push Woody, but let's see if you can do something that's more in your league.
Whoa! Wow. Aiden, is that a ramming violation?
Nope, not this year, Woody. The low friction surface combined with the mandatory bumpers has really minimized the potential for damage. It's really going to make the ref's job easy this year.
Awesome bumpers on both machines, though. What's in them?
They have those 2-inch pool noodles in them, covered with tough fabric, and the machines have to have bumpers 2/3 of the way around.
Okay, Woody, so what's next?
Let's race.
Well, but how's that fair? I mean, Dean has 4 motors.
Let's find out. Aiden, you want to start them off?
Sure. Racers ready? 3, 2, 1, go.
Wow. The physics is really different this year. Now, we're not trying to say that 2 motors is better than 4 or 4 better than 2. We just want to make sure that you understand that things are different this year.
Exactly, Woody. And to the new teams out there, think about a world of low friction. And to the returning teams, you better rethink the strategies that might have worked well in the past. But don't worry, you all have 6 weeks, starting right now.
Well, starting in